Welcome to the Love Holistic Living podcast, your roadmap to heal and align mind, body, and soul and become intuitive through food, pleasure, and spirituality with your host and Italian friend, Sara Garofalo. Hey, welcome back to another episode with your friend here, Sara, with Love Holistic Living. And today's episode is for the brave souls here in the community who want to explore the concept of soul contracts, which are agreements that souls make before coming to earth. Remember that we are spiritual beings living a human experience. And there is a reason why you have certain relationships in your life, positive or negative. There is a reason why you meet certain people at a certain point in your life in a certain location. And speaking from experience, I can tell you after traveling solo in my early 20s, the world with only a backpack, meeting so many beautiful people, but also so many important relationships that shaped who I am today, especially spiritual gurus that I found throughout my journey that literally stopped me and they were like, I need to train you. And they made a huge difference to my life that I'm so thankful. Yet there is also the opposite side of the coin, which is what we call the negative relationships or the relationships through which we as human experience pain, suffering, betrayal, jealousy, and all of those what we call lower vibrations that cause us to suffer. Yet you must understand, especially if you're listening to this video, this podcast, and you're on a spiritual path, that we have chosen them, and I'm going to tell you why. And they are meaningful to our soul's evolution because the purpose of a soul contract is for the evolution of the soul. We're meant to evolve, and the way we evolve sometimes is not through a positive experience, but through suffering. It is something that Buddha has talked and explained a lot about the purpose of suffering. And I don't expect you all to be expert in the Buddhism or Hinduism or other philosophy in life. Yet there is the biggest question humans have asked themselves. What is the purpose of suffering? From what I can tell you from my, again, spiritual experience, because I've asked myself so many times, why did I choose to suffer that way? Why did I choose an abusive relationship and abusive relationships before that? And the cycle continued, through which I personally was truly suffering. Yet it was my choice because, due to many reasons, I was like, I'm always choosing the same person under different forms. Why am I choosing to suffer? And I realized now, after 5 years of like the last relationship that literally broke me to the core, and I said, basta, like enough, that I chose that to become this person, to learn strength, to find my inner fire. And looking back, I'm like, I don't wish this to anybody, but it was the only way I was ever going to learn and fight back for my life, for my kids' life and happiness, and to finally be who I am here today in front of all of you. So we must go into this episode removing our subjective perspective here. We all get caught up in why did I choose that partner? Why did I choose that sister? Why did I choose that mother or father? Yet just trust that your soul chose that in order to evolve. So let's talk about why do we choose to sign soul contracts? Again, the first reason why is because our soul is choosing to evolve through that relationship. The second reason is because we're here to learn and grow. As souls, we are literally meant to also have fun, to experience the many feelings and emotions that life can present, from grief to joy. And again, whether certain situations, relationships, experiences are traumatic or beautiful, they teach us important lessons. And again, this lead to soul growth. Now, lessons can be and come in all sorts of forms. Oftentimes, they're not pleasant. Again, that can be a broken heart. Yet there is an important lesson. Maybe the lesson was boundaries. Maybe the lesson was don't give it to people who will crush your heart. Whatever the lesson is, or maybe to expand your love beyond maybe that betrayal, beyond that heart broken. That is something that I have learned deeply in my path to keep loving, no matter how much suffering I've been through. I am still ready to love someone fully once, I'll meet that person. But you know what I mean? Like, I still love my dear friends to the core. Like, I still have so much love for these people, despite the betrayals I've been through, despite all of the pain and suffering. And maybe that is a lesson you must learn too in this lifetime. But here is the primary lesson again is learning, growing, soul growth. You have these experiences with people because you have a soul contract with them. People come into your life to fulfill a contract, to fulfill a lesson before incarnating. So, again, think about it. The best way to describe this is, and how I describe it to my kids is before we come into this body, choosing to be Sara, choosing to be Arjuna, choosing to be Amrita, Mary, John, Paul, we decide our parents, our family. We get to choose the person we're going to marry. Now, you may think, why did I choose someone who would treat me that way? Is it faith? Is it soul contract? Yet, from my understanding, is that we have chosen that. Like, I can't tell you more than this because I have traveled across the world. And yet, I ask myself, why did I choose to come to San Luis Obispo in California and marry someone and have kids here and now being here? Like, what in the hell of this world? What was I thinking? And yet I know that I had a soul contract to fulfill, not to experience love with this person, but to have my kids for the both of us. So I would do that all over again to have this beautiful children and to be the mother of the children and the protector and the guide. Like I would choose that all over again because I fought for them in the moment of spiritual war. And again, you may have a different answer to why you're choosing certain soul contracts. And to give you another example, let's just say a positive example is I have this beautiful soul contract with my Italian best friend, whom we share with the same name. Her name is Sara. My name is Sara. We met when we were 7 years old. We're still good friends, amazing friends. We have definitely changed and chosen our path. Yet, through this soul contract, I have experienced the most beautiful unconditional love that two souls can have. Because no matter the distance, no matter the time that has passed or is passing that we're not talking, we still maintain this connection and we still love each other in a way that we cheer up for each other, despite the mistakes we make, the choices we make, despite, you know, all of the things that we're choosing, we're still standing by each other's side and say, okay, we're so different, yet we love each other so much. And through that soul contract, I have experienced the most beautiful unconditional love in my life so far. Now, you may have experienced that through the soul contracts between you and a pet. And believe me, those are true. And you probably have a dog, a cat, a horse, whatever that feels like your soulmate, your protector. That is completely true. Whatever you're feeling, whatever positive is coming out of this relationship. I had once my only cat that I've ever loved so dearly, and she was my protector. We were one. And it was like we were talking to each other. And that was another beautiful experience of soul contract that I've had in my life. So again, let's get into the types of soul contracts so we understand and you understand better what kind of relationships you're choosing with different people. I'm going to explain 6 of them today. So let's talk about the first one, which is soulmates. Okay. So many people consider this soul contract. So many people think that a soulmate is the person you're going to fall madly in love with and you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Well, that is not true. A soulmate is a type of contract between two souls, both females, both men, a female and a man, a person and his or her own pet, through which you help each other. You uplift each other. It's a positive agreement. You can have a soulmate through a beautiful friendship. You can have a soulmate connection between you and your pet, you and your mom, you and your brother, you and your sister, you and your husband or spouse or wife. That is just the form of it. Again, soulmates, like my soul partner, is not the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. That is a beautiful, positive agreement. Okay. The divine life partner, which is the number 2, is the positive agreement that you make with the person you choose to fall in love with and spend the rest of your life with. Now, I know where you're going. You're probably asking me, but what if you have multiple marriages? I understand that because I've been married twice. So, here is what I can tell you from my understanding and from what my spirit team is saying or has explained to me that at the end of the day, there's only going to be one divine life partner. I haven't met him yet. I know that I will. And I know there is going to be one in my life. And that is the type of also life I want to live, like choosing to be in a monogamous, committed relationship. And I don't want to go into monogamy or not right now. I'm just saying I know that there is that one and that I'm going to meet him at some point. The previous marriages that you've had, if they are done, which means that the soul contracts had been closed by the divorce, that is when we close it and we're like, okay, that is the end of it. That means that it was not your divine life partner. That could have been that it was just a soulmate connection. Like maybe that was a positive experience. Like my first marriage was a positive experience. I was very young, yet it was a soulmate connection. It was a very positive agreement between two souls who fell in love and decided to walk a path together for a little bit. The second marriage was a karmic experience, karmic agreement with the, I would say, like a little bit more in the negative because it was more abusive. But what I'm trying to say is those were not my divine life partners. And I understand that now after it. So I'm able to tell you right now. So there is going to be that person for you. I promise you that. And that is going to be your divine life partner if you haven't met that person yet. Now, let's go into family contract because so many people have mixed up feelings about this. They think that we don't choose our families. And yet, I'm here to tell you that we do choose family members, even when it's negative and or traumatic. It takes courage to understand this. I was so mad at first. I didn't understand why I chose my parents, why I chose to have that experience. I just didn't understand. And the non understanding and the not agreeing to the reality I chose created a lot of resentment, a lot of anger because I couldn't digest it fully. And I kept blaming them for so many years. When I started my spiritual journey and I realized why I chose them and what were the lessons they were meant to teach me, and I was meant to teach them because it goes both ways. I was finally able to release that anger, to release the pain, the suffering, the grief, the resentment, to accept them for who they are. And the fact that was so hard for me to come to term with was the fact that they didn't choose to evolve as much as I did. So I always felt so left out or crazy or too much or too spiritual because I actually chose parents who were atheist, were born, in the Catholic Church, decided to be atheist, and I was the one so spiritual in the family.
Elevate your wellness with the blue green algae superfood. A big thank you to one of our favorite sponsor, Salus Health, which is the reason why I feel so vibrant and healthy with boundless energy today. This blue green algae superfood is packed with nutrients and antioxidant, which has been a game changer for my well-being, and it will be for yours. It will help you boost your immunity, increase energy levels. It's a natural supplement for weight loss, enhance mental clarity, and it's rich in vitamins, minerals, essential amino acids, and superfood nourishes your body from the inside out. Don't forget to visit saluz.io, saluz.io. Again, saluz.io. And don't forget to use the code LOVEHOLISTIC to receive your initial 20% off your order and embrace the goodness, embrace life.
That asked to go to church, that asked to connect to spirituality. And one of the reasons why I was mad was like, why are you not choosing to evolve and meet me here and have a conversation? Like, have a conversation in a way that you're able to learn from me and not just me from you. And they're like, my parents are the type of people who are very traditional. Like, we are the parents, we teach, we don't learn. And I needed to come to terms with that and realize that at some point you gain more wisdom than your parents. And that is okay. You don't have to prove to anybody, nor to them, what you've achieved, but you can just love them for who they are with their limitation and understand they are two souls. They chose this path. They chose to reach a certain level of wisdom, level of consciousness, and that's it. And that's as far as they go. And you love them for that. You practice unconditional love when they, maybe gave you conditional love at first. And then you're able to transmute the relationship into unconditional love, which right now we're at a really good place of unconditionally loving each other. And our triggers and our path has come, like our relationship is so much closer right now. So if you must learn something from this episode is to accept that you've chosen certain people, whether that was a blessing or a curse, for a lesson, for your soul evolution. All right. Now I'm going to move forward into Twin Flame, which is super fun, yet super sad. Twin Flame is said to be a mirror of your own soul. It is when the soul is split into two bodies. It is very rare to have a twin flame and to be meeting this twin flame. Now, the misconception that most people have is that if you have a twin flame, you are supposed to reconnect and live the rest of your life with this person. Yet, it's not true. It's quite the opposite. Your twin flame will be not your divine life partner. It's very rare that that happens. I've heard of some people that said that they are married to their twin flames. And from my own spiritual understanding and my own personal experience with my twin flame, you are meant to powerfully activate one another, but it's also one of the hardest relationship you'll ever encounter because it feels like hot and cold push or pull. It feels kind of like there is a line of toxicity, but it's one of the most powerful activators in your life. You're just so much of a mirror to one another. you almost kind of look the same, and that can be with like two women, two men, a man and a woman. My twin flame was actually a man, so a soul in the opposite um, body, opposite form of the feminine. And it was this push and pull, obsessive love, cosmic, universal explosion of so many emotions. We would feel each other so much, no words needed. And it wasn't the karmic relationship, it had a different little vibration, it had a different feeling. And I was able to reach the a peak, a spiritual evolution through this relationship, yet we were not meant to be together for the rest of our life. And every time it was this big trigger, this big explosive thing that would evolve us both until we ended the soul contract. Because honestly, it's really hard to keep it. So I have no contact with that person anymore. And it's better that way. But it's also one of the most, again, it has the duality piece in it, the hot and the cold, the all or the nothing. And it's, again, I'm so grateful for that experience. Yet I don't also wish it to anybody, because when I had to let go of that person and I said finally goodbye, which took many years, it was like losing a part of my soul. I've never, I think, loved anybody more than I've loved this person. I've never felt myself dying so much in pain when I had to let go of this person. And it felt like a part of me was dying. Yet I knew that it was part of my evolution. And through that closure, I was able to gain so much spiritual strength. And that it's kind of like I took a quantum leap into the next phase of my life, which that can happen to you too. And by the way, if you all are like confused and or need guidance on what kind of relationships you share in your life, then please go ahead and book a one-on-one session with me. The guides and I are super excited to connect with you, give you spiritual guidance. We will connect with your Akashic records and give you all of the messages that you're meant to receive in order to help you evolve and to help you understand and navigate the next step in your life. I'll place the link below, but let's get into the mentor student contract. That is the agreement between two souls deciding one to be the mentor, one to be the student. Every time I meet a new client and we sign this contract together, first of all, I don't sign it with just anybody. That's why when we get into a soul agreement of we're working for 3 months, for 2 months, for a year, two, or more, I am very clear on the soul contract I want, and I interview people for a reason to make sure that they feel the same, because I'm working with the other person's souls. And without trust, without that soul piece, healing is not possible. So, anytime new clients come in, I know that if we do decide to sign the contract, then it is the mentor student contract. And I'm teaching them, and I'm also learning from them. And you may be doing the same. Let's just say that you're a teacher, all of your little students chose you to be their teacher. Whether you're teaching kindergarten, whether you're teaching a university, you are making a huge impact on someone else's life. Okay. That could be you're the dentist, you're the doctor, you are the manager in the store. Like, remember that you have the power to change lives with your presence. You can be a mentor to anybody, literally anybody. You don't have to be a coach or a healer to do this. So that goes both ways. I have also people I chose to be my mentor. And like I've explained at the beginning of this call, or I would say this episode, is that throughout my journey, my whole life, I have met spiritual gurus, mentors that were such a big, important step in my life. Another story is I was in Australia traveling with my partner at the time in a van looking for work, seasonal work, fruit picking. And we got to a small village in the middle like of the west coast, like kind of like in Queensland, if you know a little bit of the Australia geography. And out of nowhere, because it was like out of nowhere, literally. But it was like there was a pole there. And I found this spiritual book of a psychic. okay, at a fruit stand on the side of the road, because you see so many in Australia. You can just stop and get avocados, vegetables, and fruit. And people are so trusting. Like people grow fruit and vegetables, and then they have this stand outside their home with a note, $1, $2, $3, and they trust that you will respect that. So anyway, I get in there. I buy some of the veggies and fruit. I find this book and I was like, I don't know why I have to read it. And it was from a local psychic and spiritual guru. And I was like, okay. And there was the phone number. And I was like, I need to contact this woman. So I contacted this woman and she said, come over. And we met the first time. She was a sweet old lady, like, like the grandma, typical grandma with the glasses, round glasses, short, curly white hair, and very powerful. And the first time we met, she said, I was waiting for you, and I'm not supposed to charge you. I'm not supposed to ask why, but I have to train you. And I want you to come every week, twice a week, to work with me. And what she did was she introduced me to visualization, the powerful activation of meditation through taking me through a journey. And she literally trained me intensively for 4 hours twice a week. And I was just like blown away by the opportunity to work with a real psychic. And it was a very special moment in my life when divine plan aligned and I got to work with her for like about a month and a half, how long the job lasted until we departed ways. And I'm not sure if she's still alive or not. We lost contacts because at the time I didn't have literally a cell phone. All I had was an email that I don't use anymore, and I will hold her forever in my heart. So that was a little story to introduce you to the mentor student contract. And then the next one and last one is the saver contract, which means that is the agreement that a soul makes with you to enter your life and save you. They help you to get out of a really difficult stop in your life, pull you out of the darkness. Sometimes you're your own saver in so many different situations. For example, I have been my own saver after my divorce. Nobody came and saved me. No Prince Charming came and paid my bills. No, like I made the decision in this lifetime to be my own saver, but I have had this contract with other people who came into my life as savers, but in a different way. Maybe to invest in me, maybe to be protective of me, maybe to help me gather more audience around me. And I call them savior because in their way, they have been drastically pull me out of darkness by offering me something. Okay. It doesn't need to be Prince Charming. It means that, when I was in a very dark moment and I didn't know how to pay my bills, that person who fulfilled the contract of a saver in that moment was a family who offered me to babysit. That's how I started. And then I built my business like literally when my kids were sleeping at night. But that is the type of contract that is the saver contract. So those were the types of contracts available in this episodes. And the last thing we're going to look at together is why do we have so contracts, but most importantly, can we break them? And again, I'm going to tell you again, we have soul contracts to evolve spiritually, and we cannot break them. If you try to break them, you're only going to hurt yourself and cause more sufferings. People who have tried to break them, like they know that they're going to meet something or someone that is just going to change their life in the negative, maybe. Well, they think that it's the negative, yet they don't understand that if they overcome that obstacles, they become the most powerful version of themselves. That's just saying someone introduced you to substance abuse. Now you think that that is a negative relationship, that you maybe try to change that contract, yet you must overcome that. You can't escape lessons. I can't go back and say, oh, I wish I could break the soul contract with my, father of my kids. No, because I was supposed to be the mother of these children. I can never take that back. nor do I want to once you understand spiritually what's behind the bigger plan. Like, for a moment, even though I tell people be selfish all the time, be a little bit more selfish, for a moment, I need you to not be selfish. I need you to look at the biggest picture, that it's all interconnected. And if I think about what if I didn't have that soul contract, then I also think that my life with my kids and the impact that I'm making in their life and the people who they're going to be, because I believe that at some point they may lead something too. They may be leaders too, then it's a bigger plan than just me, than just you. And if you understand that, then that will bring you more peace, more wisdom, more clarity. I hope that this was helpful. And if you like this video and this episode, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, give it a star, and I'll see you in the next episode.